Hello, and welcome to our first 2021 MEF 3.0 Proof of Concept Showcase, where members collaborate to demonstrate MEF 3.0 based use cases that validate, evolve, and inspire the work of MEF. I'm Kevin Vachon, your host, and today we'll be featuring POC 132, Revolutionizing Live Events. The POC is brought to you by Spectrum Enterprise, ADVA, Equinix, and Juniper Networks. Let's get started with a quick introductory video from the POC team.
Viewers are demanding more immersive, personalized experiences. This is why Spectrum Enterprise is partnering with venues to personalize the fan experience and deliver innovative video capture and distribution solutions to enterprise clients, all through a MEF-enabled network. Cameras placed around a venue capture video that is rendered in real time using artificial intelligence. Edge-enabled deep learning tracks the action, identifying players and objects from different views. Fans watch events how they want to, selecting angles they want, following their favorite players, and more from anywhere. In the future, more customized features for various venues may be considered to bring cutting-edge experiences to viewers when, where, and how they want them. Spectrum Enterprise, revolutionizing the live event experience.
Okay, that is very cool, and I think we're off to a really good start here. So I'm going to be joined by Toby Miller from Spectrum Enterprise. He's going to be my partner host today. He's going to make my job easier. So Toby, tell us what this event looks like.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. We are excited to be here with you and the larger MEF community as we walk through our proof of concept, revolutionizing the live event experience. You know, it's been great to work on something that you grew up playing and watching over the years. We've learned so much over the last several months working at the stadium and in the lab with the larger POC team that we are excited to showcase for you today. Up next is our technical demo. Directly after, Kevin and I will be back with additional insight from the POC team, along with the customer perspective. We will then move into the Q&A session where our panel of Spectrum Enterprise SMEs and vendor partners will answer your questions. Please remember to ask questions throughout the presentation using the Q&A button. To wrap things up, we have Gunnar Peters, Product Innovation VP Spectrum Enterprise, joining us to share his perspective. So without further delay, enjoy the demo.
Welcome and thank you for joining us as we present our MEF proof of concept, where we focus on revolutionizing the live event experience. Be it ball games, concert, or other events, this demo will address how businesses can bring the game to their fans in new ways. We've all been excited about going to a game, but as soon as you walk in and you climb your way to the third level at a stadium, you get to your seat and sit down, the first thing you can think of is you wish you'd have sprung a little extra from maybe a better seat, maybe a little closer to the field, perhaps behind home plate. Well, in today's demo, everyone has access to the best seats in the house. In today's always connected environment, sports fans and concert goers alike crave a desire for a more personalized, tailored, and immersive experience. As Rob Manfred, Major League Baseball commissioner, indicated when asked what his biggest challenge is, he said, it's the next generation in terms of consumption habits, both live and in the media. As those of us with kids know, attention spans vary widely, and fans are demanding an enriched experience tailored to their specific needs. To meet these demands, the way businesses deliver the experience has to also change. So in today's Spectrum Enterprise demo, we've partnered together with ADVA, Equinix, and NetRounds, now part of Juniper Networks, to demonstrate our solution to enable this change for both fans in the stadium, as well as fans accessing events across the business network in, for example, a hotel. So now let's take a look at the demo.
Today, traditional broadcasting is a one-size-fits-all proposition, with directors and producers determining the content for the entire audience. We aim to change that. Fans desire the ability to tailor their experience in a manner that both engages their mind and cultivates a sense of being in the game. At Dr. Pepper Ballpark in Frisco, Texas, home of the Frisco Rough Riders minor league baseball team, 20 static, unmanned, true 4K cameras create a virtual blanket of the field. These camera feeds are aggregated and processed at the Spectrum Enterprise Edge Compute Array at the ballpark. Here, our proprietary artificial intelligence director utilizes deep learning to track and analyze the raw game footage, creating multiple live viewing angles and custom video replays, which are fed to the ballpark fans using private wireless connectivity. Private LTE was chosen for its low latency, increased quality of service, and enhanced security, which is required for next-gen data-intensive video services. The processed video leaves the ballpark, destined for our regional data center, where it is ingested into our content delivery network for distribution to our business clients. Equinix supports our solution in their 5G and Edge Development Center with Equinix Fabric and Equinix Metal. Major resort properties, represented in our demo by Waypoint Resorts, are looking to enable unique entertainment experiences for their guests, from sports, concerts, conferences, and even Vegas-style shows. They need to create flexibility in the types of content available to their guests, now more than ever. Our business clients demand fast and simple service instantiation, turn-up, and service-aware connectivity. To accomplish this, we are leveraging the following technologies. On the universal CPEs, the ADVA connector and SD-WAN VNFs are autonomously augmented by the ADVA Virtual Edge Cloud per our instantiation controller. On-net connectivity leverages MEF Working Draft 84 network slicing, selecting pre-established network slices that best meet the performance requirements of the service. At our SD-WAN locations, MEF 70.1 SD-WAN application performance, zones, and policies provide the capabilities needed to deliver a quality video experience while assuring content delivery to the appropriate locations. Virtual active test agents from NetRound's Active Assurance are deployed along the service path, validating the initial service instantiation and ongoing health. Now that we have a high-level understanding of the primary demo components, let's start our client journey in the marketplace. The Spectrum Enterprise Marketplace is the home for live, custom content. During the onboarding process, we confirm and apply all content viewing rights. Waypoint Resorts has a wide range of events to choose from, but baseball is what we're after. Specifically, the Frisco Rough Riders versus Northwest Arkansas Naturals game. Network services, performance, and architecture drive site eligibility. Upon site selection, Waypoint is able to determine where in their hotels this content is available for their guests. In this case, the content is available for in-room viewing only. A perfect use case for MEF 70.1 zones. We selected our 2 hotel locations, and all that is left is a quick review of the key details and terms and conditions confirmation. Enough with the setup. Let's now move past the instantiation and view some game footage.
It's the bottom of the third, and the score is 6-3. This is shaping up to be a good game. As previously indicated, we're giving fans the ability to produce their own content to meet their demands for more immersive and personalized views. In a hotel, the fan is presented with a view that adapts to them. They're currently watching the live view, in which the AI compute splices together the action from multiple cameras. However, they can add personal preferences to their experience. They choose to view or select interactive content, such as social media and statistics, to complement their experience. They've also chosen their favorite team, the Frisco Rough Riders. This preference will focus on game action related to this team for this fan. They can also choose their favorite player, which is Andretti Cordero. Any relevant action in which the AI compute associates the ball with this player either at the plate or in the field will be made available to the fan as a replay. The fans can also choose their live action views. Instead of the current live view, for example, they may want to watch from the perspective of first base, or even second base. The same is true if they prefer the batter or the pitcher views. Replays are created and organized based on selected team and player. These are shown and selected at the bottom of the screen. In the ballpark, fans complement their physical view with unique live views on their phones different from the one where they are sitting. If seated in center field, they can have customized replays as shown in the top view and close-up views from other positions on the field or of the batter, all driven by their preferences. Now let's transition to the Spectrum Operations Portal. The Spectrum Enterprise Operations Portal is our primary tool for monitoring and assuring the quality of this event for our clients. The game that the fans are watching is already in progress. We're currently filtered down to the 2 waypoint resort locations selected in the marketplace. With the game in progress, these key video metrics allow Spectrum Enterprise to quickly check the health of the network to deliver these services. Let's look at some key stats. The dial on the left shows total video streams for the game, reflecting how many fans are using the service. The key middle graph shows the resolution of those streams, since a quality 4K experience is what fans desire. On the right-hand side, we could even track this over the entire game. These metrics allow operations to track the overall video flows and monitor resolution downgrades as potential indicators of network or bandwidth availability issues. If necessary, the network can flex to adjust as needed. Since the client hotel locations leverage both on- and off-net connectivity, the portal provides insight on both. For off-net locations, the network uses Spectrum Enterprise MEF 70 compliant SD-WAN service with dual uplinks. In addition, Spectrum Enterprise uses the SD-WAN MEF 70.1 working draft concepts of zones, application flow performance attributes, and policy criteria in order to deliver 4K video to the hotel for these specialized events. Zones are used to uniquely identify and deliver the Spectrum Enterprise video streams that require strict performance from other 4K video streams destined to hotel IP endpoints not subscribing to the highest performance level. These MEF 70.1 concepts, including zones, ensure the client experience and appropriate video distribution in accordance with content viewing rights at the client location. Spectrum Enterprise uses MEF Working Draft 84 network slicing for connectivity to the on-net hotel location. In addition to ongoing performance monitoring, NetRound's Active Assurance has performed a service activation test just prior to event turnup, as measured from the Content Delivery Network Edge to the Hotel ADVA Virtual Edge connector to validate performance. Additionally, the application performance requirements from the marketplace purchase and the operations systems drive the appropriate slice selection that best supports the video delivery. As you can see, for this network slice, the segment count change indicates that a new path has been selected due to a network impairment. The new route was pre-planned using flexible algorithm, allowing the slice to override traditional fast reroute methodologies and intelligently steer the traffic to maintain slice performance integrity. Network slicing enables Spectrum Enterprise to leverage metro and regional connectivity tailored to specific performance requirements to deliver the promised client experience for the event's duration. Now that we've demonstrated how we capture the video at the ballpark and distributed it to these fans, then across the Spectrum Enterprise network to businesses like Waypoint Resorts, using both MEF Working Draft 84 network slicing and MEF SD-WAN Working Draft 70.1 performance, zone, and policy technologies, you can see how the combination of technology and infrastructure comes together and gives you a small glimpse of how this enables Spectrum Enterprise to change the live event experience.
Just like baseball players need a bat and glove to play the game, businesses require a network with innovative technologies to rapidly grow their business in challenging times. This Spectrum Enterprise demo steps up to the plate with the latest in wired, wireless network, edge compute, virtualization, and MEF standards to knock it out of the park with a service-aware approach to revolutionizing the live video experience. Even though work remains, it provides a glimpse and shows what's possible with a combination and integration of various technologies driven by the underlying MEF standard. The video approach allows us to explore a transforming approach to fans in and out of the stadium and allow fans to be their own producer. We'd like to thank our partners, ADVA, Equinix, and Juniper Networks in helping us explore a path to revolutionizing the live event experience that leads to the best seat in the house from any location.
Well, that was a great demo, awesome use case. And I'm not a huge baseball fan, so if you guys can maybe kind of prioritize your rollout for NHL arenas, that would be much appreciated. In fact, we're in Spectrum territory here in Raleigh, North Carolina. You could start at PNC Arena, home of the Carolina Hurricanes. Just an ask. But seriously, I was really impressed with the alignment to both the previous and in progress MEF work. You look at Ethernet standards, the existing MEF 70, And then you look forward to the use of zones from MEF 70.1 and network slicing. And of course, so much of the work we're doing today takes us to the edge, and this was all about the edge as well. Anyway, with the bar being set so high, where do we go from here? Let me turn it back to Toby to bring in the business roundtable where we're going to dig deeper.
Hey, thanks, Kevin. From travel to the stadium to vendor visits, 2020 presented unique collaboration challenges for us all. It really was a team effort over the last several months, with many challenges overcome. For more context, we're going to take a look behind the scenes with our engineering teams, exploring what is next with the fan experience at the stadium, and learning more from the Frisco Rough Riders about their business challenges and our partnership. First up, let's hear from Manish Jindal, Spectrum Enterprise GVP for Wireless Research and Development. His team has been leading our partnership with the Frisco Rough Riders, evolving the in-stadium viewing experience. And he's going to share more about his team's efforts at the stadium.
Hello, I'm Manish Jindal, and I lead wireless and research development at Charter Communications. My team looks at future technologies in wireless and develops use cases that demonstrates the power of 5G. The promise of 5G is to become the platform that helps digitization of various industries. This can be done by delivering high bandwidth, low latency, and quick access to multi-access edge compute. In order to demonstrate the capability, over the last few years, my team has been working on several initiatives leveraging AI, AR, edge compute, and wireless technologies. When the opportunity presented itself to take this from the lab to the real world, we were delighted to partner with the Frisco Rough Riders. The current proof of concept gives a glimpse of a new stadium viewing experience when you combine live video with artificial intelligence. The solution requires lots of bandwidth and massive amounts of compute at the edge in order to deliver a very unique experience. We've done the math ahead of time and plan accordingly, but seeing the massive amount of compute and the bandwidth required was pretty eye-opening. You're able to provide a very customized views for the fans. Imagine if you could follow your favorite player regardless of where the ball is. Imagine if you could get all the relevant information about your favorite player at your fingertips. How about being able to see the live or replay from a camera angle of your choice? With this solution, we are able to make all the above a reality. But we're not going to stop there. We take this to the next level. How about being able to get the same view as the player is getting on the field? The fans will be able to experience what the player's experiences on the field in real time. This can be achieved by something called virtual camera, which is created by stitching a three-dimensional grid from physical cameras in real time, giving the illusion that the camera is placed on top of the player's head and is moving with the player. This will allow the fans the ability to engage in the game like never before. Thank you for your time. I hope you enjoyed the demo, and we all look forward to the next level.
Thanks, Manish, for the perspective and great work by your team. Now let's pivot to the wireline side of the house and hear from John Williams and John Copperthwaite with our Advanced Communications Engineering team as they delve deeper into the emerging MEF standards and supporting network technologies.
Hello, I'm John Williams. I lead the engineering and architecture teams here at Charter. Our purpose here is to develop new innovative solutions to ensure we keep driving the business forward. As you can see from the patents on the wall, we do quite a bit of innovating. When we first collaborated with Manish and his team on this initiative, we were excited. Who wouldn't be excited to work on the future of sports viewing? Not only did we get the opportunity to leverage and expand the Spectrum Enterprise Edge, we were able to move forward with networking technologies like SR, MPLS, with flex algorithms to route and manage the traffic down to the most granular level, the application flow. For more on that, I'm going to bring in John Copperthwaite.
Network slicing occurs as a result of the combination of SR-MPLS and flexible algorithm, where traffic can be placed on a designated pathway or network slice that conforms to the particular set of rules or performance characteristics. Highly latency sensitive traffic, like say broadcast video, can then subscribe to a network slice that both allows for the proper amount of bandwidth for that application flow, as well as a guaranteed traffic path, think classic traffic engineering, across the metro or region that meets the sub 10 millisecond requirement. It's realized through monitoring of each link in the network using TWAMP and BGPLS, then places a Spectrum Enterprise predefined algorithm on each end of the link based on that calculated performance metric. Failure mitigation? Well, it's achieved by using SRMPLS's topology-independent loop-free alternate, or TILFA. This assures a sub 50 millisecond handling of failures by means of pre-programming the backup path for the post-convergence network topology. That post-convergence network topology is by flexible algorithm. Being topology independent also is critical in that despite the underlying network design, full mesh or partial mesh or a ring, a backup path exists no matter where in the route the failure might have occurred. The combination of these two technologies, SRMPLS with TILFA and SRMPLS's flexible algorithm, allows Spectrum Enterprise's network to handle traffic by application flow with an eye on application performance requirements. Clients can now subscribe to a level of traffic handling that they require, or maybe they just prefer. These capabilities can be localized to the metro area, or they can be stretched across the core between regions with an end-to-end result of the fastest, most predictive, and most capable network. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the additional context into the underpinnings of network slicing. Of course, without a customer partner, we would not have been able to bring this to life. Let's hear from Andy Milovich, GM of the Frisco Rough Riders, about their challenges and our proof of concept.
The economics of a minor league baseball team are vastly different from what you see in major league sports. We don't have the broadcast revenue to drive the value and the revenues to rely upon. It really relies on fans in the seats and creating a game day experience that then feeds into driving food and beverage and merchandise and creates the opportunity to drive sponsorship value for our corporate partners. I think the keys for us to thrive economically going forward as an industry is finding ways to tap into technology and to deliver an individualized experience. The partnership that we have with Charter allows us to create that user experience that can be driven specifically for a user and create something unique that you can't get anywhere else in sports.
So listen, thank you, Manish, the two Johns, and Andy. That was great stuff, both drilling into the business side of things as well as the technical underpinning of the whole thing. So we're going to move on to the final part of our program, Q&A, to be hosted by MEF's VP of Strategic Programs and the Executive Director of the MEF 3.0 POC program, Daniel Barlev. Daniel's no stranger to MEF POCs. He incubated this work in MEF 7 years ago, and he's done a great job successfully pulling so many participants together over that time. Over to you, Daniel.
Great. Well, thank you, Kevin. I'm going to invite our panelists to join me on screen. And while that's happening, we've seen a very compelling demonstration of a use case for edge services, a very powerful one. A lot of business and architectural and technological aspects to what we've seen today. So it's going to be interesting to see what questions have come in. But we've got a great panel to field them. So without further ado, I'm going to kick off with the first question, which is obviously for Spectrum Enterprise. Does Spectrum Enterprise plan to productize this solution?
This is Kevin Stubbe from the Product Innovations team, Daniel. That's a good question, so I'll take that one. So we don't have plans to productize the video that we're highlighting in the POC here. But as you can see from the proof of concept, our goal was really to take various technologies here. We have quite a few of them, and then wrap them around this unique video concept. And then our goal is to explore and evaluate those technologies and then determine how and what best way they can go into our network to optimize our current product portfolio. So that's how we'll move going forward. So for example, we can take the concept that John was talking about with network slicing. If you look at network slicing in the POC, we had the unique video application traversing our network. And that's a clear application of being able to customize performance to a flow in our network. Well, that not only applies to the POC, it can apply to other types of applications that run across our network. So we would look to implement slicing in our network to the benefit of the product portfolio. And you can kind of make that same correlation when you look at our SD-WAN service today, and in the POC, we use that service along with the concept of zones as well as performance and policy attributes and capabilities to do something similar that we did with network slicing. That's another capability we could roll into our network. And even another analogy is the marketplace that we had in the proof of concept, where the consumer can go in and order these different video services. And the goal there was to do that, allow the customer to do that simply, to abstract away the complexity, project simplicity, allow them to see what videos they could order. And then behind the scenes, we kick off processes that initiate instantiation and turning the service up with minimal interaction by the customer. So that's kind of our goal. No productization of the video per se plans at this time, but the technologies, as I described, we'll focus on those in the manner described going forward.
Great, thank you for that, Kevin. So another question, but rather more technical or technological for Spectrum. How does Spectrum Enterprise arrive at choosing segment routing and flex algo and TI-LFA as the solution for network slicing? So what was it that drove you to implement network slicing in the way that you did?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. I'll take that one. This is John Calperthwaite with Advanced Commercial Engineering. So we saw the need to meet a digital transformation for enterprise clients, and that coupled with like our ever-growing and more complex service provider network, we saw that segment routing would allow us to both simultaneously simplify our network, and the operation thereof, as well as deliver a more robust solution to our clients, which results in an overall better, customer experience. SRMPLS with the extensions enables a more seamless method for crossing domain boundaries, think ASNs, as well as overcoming like traditional TE pitfalls, such as like ECMP or UCMP pathways that historically required really creative and highly complex solutions. Segment routing looks and feels very familiar, right? So in the hands of our operations teams, the learning curve is not nearly as steep, and some of the troubleshooting syntax may have changed, but the approach to troubleshooting feels and looks the same. So then we layered on top of that flexible algorithm for the traffic engineering side of the house. And we can now, define network slices that identify pathways across our networks that are meeting a specific performance criteria, not just following, the IGP or maybe a traffic engineering explicit path. We use a real-time delay calculation for that metric, and then we let the client subscribe to a predefined tier that meets their requirements or maybe their application flows requirements. So then when you couple all of this together and you think about what happens when something breaks, we bring in SRMPLS's TI-LFA, which is really a big step forward to previous fast reroute methods, the old LFA or RLFA, which was even more complex, but it's now better than that, just that, because it's topology independent, as you saw in my bit a little bit ago. But the more important piece is that TI-LFA definition is placed on each flexible algorithm or each traffic engineering path. So it's a performance-based pathway that gets its own pre-calculated backup based on that post-convergence topology. So all in all, it was these reasons that really swayed us to dig into SRMPLS using FlexAlgo and the various traffic engineering methodologies.
So just to build on that, John, did you already have those technologies in place and you wanted to arrive at a network slicing solution, or were you starting from the point of network slicing and deciding how best to implement it, and the segment routing and the flexible algorithm and TILFA was the way you decided to implement it?
Well, yeah, that's a really great question, because I think it was kind of a convergence of the two. We saw that we needed something that would simplify the way we do things. We're a fairly large service provider network here in North America, and we have lots of autonomous systems that we've acquired through acquisition and those sorts of things that have really given us a bit of a monkey puzzle to try to figure out when it comes to end-to-end service solutions. So when we started looking at coming up with something in that regard and started looking to SRMPLS, we quickly saw that the Flex Algo piece of this would simplify things. It would simplify the number of labels in a label stack, for instance, but more importantly, it would simplify our traffic engineering solution. And that then started to look a lot like network slices, and oh, hey, wait a minute, we've been doing QoS for decades. Now we can look at a network slice and a performance tier and kind of marry these two things together in a real-time definition. And that's, I think, when the penny dropped.
Great, thank you. I'll just highlight the first two gentlemen to answer, Kevin and John, are from Spectrum Business. And when you do answer each of the panelists, if you could just highlight for the audience, which company you're from, your name and title, that would be great. Thank you. Question for Equinix. How does Equinix support a company with systems and processes in order to be ready for a product rollout like this? And I think we chatted about this last week, and it stuck in my memory, the idea that Equinix is providing the sort of agility and the reach for companies that want to do this. Perhaps Equinix, can you elaborate on that?
Thanks, Daniel. Yes, I'm Rod Elder. I'm a global principal here at Equinix. So I appreciate that question. So many organizations are telling us that they need to address complexity, reliability, and scale. And what happens here is the focus is on where would they instantiate and locate the services and applications. So we're supporting these organizations who are successfully rolling out services, applications, and solutions by taking advantage of the new capabilities of network and compute technologies. And what they're finding along the way is that interconnection and proximity is important. And it's important to speed and ease of implementation or change. To do this, they're using a couple of things. They're using Equinix Fabric for dynamic aggregated network connections to cloud customers and partners. But additionally, they're using Equinix Metal for Metro Edge Compute, or MEC. And they're also using Equinix Network Edge for virtualized routing or firewall services at some of these remote locations. So what this does is it provides an approach for scale. It allows for scale. It accelerates these organizations' time to market with on-demand virtualization of solutions, supporting direct instant access to essential partner ecosystems, for compute, infrastructure, software services, or broadband networks in a lot of types, like public internet or private optical infrastructure, and even wireless mobility or 5G. So by using this approach, a platform solution to support increased security, control of the value chain, and a best-in-class delivery with an optimized path for growth is really allowing these things to accelerate in the market.
Great. Well, thank you for that, Rod. So another question that's come in, how do SD-WAN performance and zone attributes, I'm assuming that zone concept or construct is from MEF 70.1, how do they work in this use case?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. This is John Cowperthwaite again with Spectrum Enterprise. I'll field that one. So yeah, Spectrum has been sitting on the MEF working group for 70.1 pretty much since its inception. And one of the things that really intrigued me, even before I joined that group, was that notion of zones. we had that knob available to us in our SD-WAN offering, and I started looking at it a little more deeply and thinking about what it could do for us. And then when we got into the working group piece of this with the MEF, that's really when, for me, the rubber hit the road, if you will, where we could really look at what does a zone mean, how can we better craft a zone, and that's when we have to bring in things like performance and policy in order to really bring it all together. One of the things that I think is the hallmark of zones is that you're able to differentiate application flows that may have the exact same signature, for instance, right? So as you saw earlier with the Frisco Rough Riders, this is an IP video flow. And IP video flows, whether they're 4K or other, they all have very similar, if not identical, signatures going across the network. And really, we can use the concept of zones and then apply performance and policy to it to differentiate that Frisco Rough Rider video flow that might be coming out of our data center head end and meandering its way across the network to the hotel where our hotel person may have subscribed to that particular ball game, and we can apply the right sorts of performance criteria to that application flow, even though it may look exactly like another application flow that is heading to that same location that somebody sitting in the lobby is just, streaming down some 4K movie on one of their favorite applications. So really for us, the zone attribute becomes a big thing, and we wanted to make sure that as part of 70.1, our voice was heard there because it makes a lot of sense as a service provider and a cable TV service provider at that we can differentiate all of these different video flows and handle them differently.
Great, well, thank you. So being able to differentiate between traffic flows with zones, that sounds like it's pretty central. Question, is the universal CPE able to support other applications beyond SD-WAN on the same device? I'm pretty sure that's a question for Adva. And if so, if it can, what types of applications can or does it run there, especially in this use case?
Hi, this is Kevin McCartney with Adva, Senior Director of Business Development for our Edge Cloud business unit, so I'll take that one. So the whole idea behind universal CPE is really to provide an alternative to physical appliances and provide it in a standard compute environment so that you can combine various network applications and service chains and combinations on standard environments to make it very easy to do that. So it supports a lot of traditional network appliances that have now been moved to virtualization, such as various flavors of SD-WAN, virtual firewalls, WAN acceleration, virtual routing, service testing, and the like. So you can really, through a common interface, through a common platform, provide various combinations through a shared infrastructure, through a shared management platform. But beyond that, because it's based on standard edge compute and edge cloud technologies, you can also run some traditional IT workloads that were traditionally found in a data center or in some other compute environment at the customer edge. So because it's open, it can really be a combination of your traditional network applications as well as some of these newly migrated IT workloads on a shared platform. So the flexibilities are limitless.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kevin. How critical is it to measure end user quality? I'm guessing that it's really actually very, very critical. That's a question I think for NetRounds, what's now Juniper, understanding what you're actually delivering to the customer. Could you expound on that a bit?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel. Very good question indeed. So my name is Cyril Dussault. I'm a director of product marketing at Juniper Networks. And as the MEF showcase demonstrates nicely, communication service provider, they really can differentiate with superior customer experience. And so in this context, it is indeed very critical to ensure customers get the performance that they've been promised. And so traditionally, we've been calculating service quality by collecting device-centric metrics from vendors' equipment. So, for example, by leveraging SNMP or telemetry collection methods. And as we all know, most metrics found on devices do not actually talk about the user experience. So validating accurately network slice quality requires simulating end user on the data plane by sending a very small amount of traffic between virtual agents. And those virtual agents can be deployed in the network. And so that's exactly what we do with Juniper Paragon Active Assurance, so previously known as Netrons. In this POC, we are automatically measuring service quality on the data plane, and we're able to ensure that the quality is therefore delivered to customer. And so that's also a great solution to understand degradation coming from potential blind spot on the end-to-end service delivery chain.
Yeah, I'm guessing that that user experience, actually quantifying it in ways that are meaningful for the viewer. Is that something that you are going towards, or you include here, or are you focusing more on the network performance and then extrapolating from that to understand what the user experience is in terms of what they're seeing and how quickly they're seeing it?
So in the POC, we focus on the network experience, but as well we have the capability to focus on the service experience to add to this if we want.
Great. Okay, thank you. So another question is, why is your edge at the premise? Did you look at a centralized model? I'm not sure who's going to answer that, but when you do answer that, if you could sort of explain how far out you went and what the options are in terms of distribution, distributed versus centralized architecture, that would be great.
Certainly. Thanks, Daniel. I'll try and answer that one. I'm Glenn Harden. I'm a technical fellow for video at Charter Communication. And this question directly leads me to my three favorite questions I ask myself when designing new architectures. What problem we're trying to solve, and which part of the network with what tool. So yes, we looked at this in a full 360-degree view and investigated each perspective. The event-based approach is the perfect challenge and application for software-defined networks, software-defined content distribution networks, and content workflows. Fixed resources are very expensive to build and dedicate statically to a single location or application. And instead of having a fixed dedicated network compute and content distribution resources, there's a clear advantage of utilizing this software-defined approach, as it allows a more flexible implementation to apply those resources dynamically in terms of location within the network, and it can actually be translated within the network in the future. So as technologies evolve, we want our solution to evolve as well. We can define and spin up low latency local, regional, and global content distribution networks seamlessly, allowing us to reach the largest population of audiences and the greatest population of customer devices with the best resolution of video. Charter's optimization and use of artificial intelligence in the context of live video processing creates a unique video offering to our customers that is a real differentiator for us. By doing so, Charter is employing some of the latest commercial off-the-shelf compute technology coupled with centralized in the compute close to the event for low latency processing. This technology approach for event-based dynamic architecture takes full advantage of the advancements in Moore's law and Andel's law for compute and parallelization, and will only become more efficient and practical and flexible in the future. So while we're starting at the edge, we can easily evolve. Thanks so much.
And Glenn, can you tell me, does the architecture actually change during the lifetime of the service? Does it automatically adjust itself, or should we look at it more as it automatically, that the architecture stays the same, but the degree of distribution might change during the course of the lifetime of the service?
Well, certainly over the lifetime, as we apply the technology to the topology, but within an event, right, as we see demand, consumer demand increase in certain areas globally, we can increase that compute capacity dynamically and improve our content distribution networks to optimize that performance.
Okay, great. Thank you, Glenn. So some more questions here. What is the hotel end user experience built upon? I'm guessing they're asking what's the flavor that a hotel end user can expect.
This is Kevin Stubbe again from the Spectrum Enterprise Product Innovation Team. So I'll take that question. And I'm going to answer it in a couple of ways. So literally, the platform that we use was Android TV platform. We decided on that with our client experience team, but I'm really going to answer the question in a different way. So from the perspective of what was the concept underlying the client experience that we wanted to focus on. So you can see from the POC, where our wireless R&D team, they have 20 static unmanned cameras throughout the stadium. So no people behind the cameras. And those streams are pointed to an AI/ML compute engine that then generates the unique video. So we have autonomous video generation, but the idea behind that was we wanted to allow the user to be able to personalize it for their particular taste. So if you remember from our proof of concept in the hotel room there, we allowed the consumer to come in. The Android TV app, for example, they could choose their favorite team, their favorite player, and then they would have unique replays for that particular player fed back to them according to that personalization. So that was the concept, but I think I can illustrate it best maybe with a quick example. When you look at the game within a game, it's usually the pitcher and the batter. So the pitcher's throwing the ball and you're focused on that action, and that's the view that's delivered to you, the consumer. Well, if my favorite player is the top base stealer in the game and he's on first base at that time, I may want to focus on that interaction between the first baseman, the pitcher, and my favorite player who's trying to steal second. So I could choose a camera angle at that point in time that focuses on that, and I can get any replays fed back to me for that particular player, including that stolen base. So the answer to the question is the underlying concept that we wanted to focus on was personalization. And then we also wanted to give a bit of a glimpse into, hey, what else can we do to personalize this for a consumer? And one of the things that really stands out to us is a lot of these teams out there, NFL, Major League Baseball, they've got their own quantitative analytics departments, and they use that data to make in-game decisions. And there's a lot of data out there. All these organizations are data-driven, so that's available, say, via third-party APIs to bring into the consumer experience, so for product teams to determine how that can best be used to add to the customer experience. So we wanted to provide that glimpse also. So that was our focus. The underlying concept was personalizing the viewing experience.
So, Kevin, I'm intrigued. I know this hasn't been productized, but how do you anticipate the interaction and the responsibility between the customer and the service provider that's offering the service? Because somebody has to sit down and sort of say, okay, well, we want this type of personalization and we want to do it in this way. It's not all automatic. I guess you have to do it per event or at least per event type. So how do you anticipate that happening? It's more the customers doing it and explaining their requirements, or you see a group within the service provider doing that? And if so, what type of responsibilities do they have?
Well, I think the answer goes kind of back to that productization question. There's a lot of questions to answer here. And that's why this is a proof of concept, and there's a lot more work to do. So in relation to what you're talking about, underlying all of this, depending on how complex you want to get the nature of the video, Manish Jindal talked about, the virtual camera that can follow a player. One of the major things as you advance the video and you add more to the experience, your data magnitudes can grow exponentially. So that's kind of one underlying concept that has to be looked at. What do we think the market wants, and how do we scale that back to something that's consumable that we can incrementally grow over the course of time? So those are some of the challenges that we would have to work through iteratively.
So you've established the technological aspect, but the actual product aspect, there's a lot more thinking that needs to be done, if I understand
Absolutely.
correctly.
Yeah, the POC is, here's what's possible, and then we then have to continue to explore the technologies and how best to deploy them really to the benefit of our Spectrum Enterprise product portfolio as a whole.
So I suppose this is an adjunct question. What fans in the ballpark are eligible for this service? So I guess that's also part of it, is how do you decide which people in the audience are actually going to see what in terms of live versus their screen experience? Is that right?
Yeah, so really the answer to that is an extension to what I already said. So we have our proof of concept. So for example, we used private LTE and our wireless R&D team have a Spectrum developed mobile app upon which they can view this kind of action in the stadium. So, we're looking at specifically minor league baseball here, and those crowds are much smaller and less dense than if you were looking at maybe an NFL game or a big college game. So again, we're kind of back to the scalability. What technologies do you need to scale to that level? So therefore, further testing and further investigation is required, and that's where we're at. But the idea would be, to answer your question, would be that anyone in the ballpark would be able to download the app and then be able to get this kind of experience. That would be the goal.
Fantastic. Well, there's a huge amount of potential here. There are a lot more questions that I'm sure people are interested in asking, but we've run out of time. So I'm going to thank the panel, really appreciate it, and I'll let you sign off here before I hand off to Kevin. And thank you again. While we're doing that, I'll just say that this demonstration has been a very compelling in that it shows technology, it shows the business aspect, but it also shows not only how Spectrum and Equinix and Adva and Juniper have brought together all this technology to make this very compelling service offering, but they've done it based on MEF standards, a range of MEF standards, not only based on them, but also they've contributed very actively as MEF members. So I really want to thank the team, not only for pulling this POC together and answering the questions, but also for your ongoing active contributions to MEF. And on that note, I'll hand back to you, Kevin.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. That was a great Q&A session, and I think you had just a bang-on recap of how this whole thing has come together. As he mentioned, we have more questions than we can handle, and in a couple of minutes, I'm going to provide you some on-screen instructions for you to carry on your dialogue with the POC team after today's event. So we've seen the POC demo, we've heard from key Spectrum team members, many of them, and even the Frisco Rough Riders. So now, to give us a final executive perspective on this whole thing, let's bring back Spectrum VP Gunnar Peters.
Thanks, Kevin. As you can see, the solution has a lot of potential, and you'll be able to take it in various directions to address not only the engagement of the fan at the event, but also other types of customer experiences in other venues. But you cannot do that without the underlying technology. We really wanted to highlight and bridge the various technologies and focus the capabilities into a use case over a MEF-enabled network to explore where we may be able to take it in the future. We also wanted to thank MEF on its leadership in continuing to drive and define new foundations and standards for the future of networking. There are so many components that we touched on in this video, but let me delve into a couple of key technologies a little bit further. One of those is network slicing. It ties very nicely into what MEF has been working on in Working Draft 84. Network slicing is usually a technology that's synonymous with wireless, but we provide interpretation for the wireline approach and how it may apply and benefit the enterprise network. Slicing and technologies that underpin it provide benefits to applications traversing the network, such as AR, VR solutions, allowing for a more intelligent use of the existing network infrastructure. There's a lot more to be explored here, and MEF's focus on standardization will allow us to focus on this subject when we talk about it with the MEF working team. The second, of course, is the video technology, and obviously a more critical part of the video as well. To eventually get to future states and capabilities will require a lot of compute, software development with AI and ML integration, as well as a robust network, both a wireline and wireless-based solution to deliver that immediate and fan-selected experience. As you can see, the vision is here. A lot of these components, of course, are in the very early stages. Some are more theoretical. A lot more work is required overall The great thing about each one of these elements, however, is that they can be implemented independently and offer service providers new ways of delivering new services and customer experiences. Providing flexibility, technology, and infrastructure to deliver these functions over time will deliver transformative innovation for the enterprise network. Take, for example, edge compute in applications that require immediately and local response times, as we discussed in the stadium. These technologies can also be translated and leveraged in smart city solutions, for example, where cities require the ability to capture information, compute it, and render it locally to provide immediate results for its citizens' safety and other types of services. In our case, to revolutionize the live event experience, we leveraged, incorporated, and integrated a range of these components and highlighted and explored the art of the possible. So we hope you have enjoyed watching our demo and look forward to the rest of the POC showcases over the next few days, as well as our continued support with MEF. With that, let me turn it back over to you, Kevin.
Great job, and thank you very much, Gunnar. So to continue the conversation with the POC team, please feel free to reach out to one of the contacts provided on the screen here from the participating organizations. So as we close out today, let me tell you about the MEF 3.0 Proof of Concept Awards. Every POC is eligible, and there are 4 categories covering innovation, business impact, market game changer, and judge's choice. The awards will be judged by a panel of 8 independent industry analysts. We'll be announcing the winners during episode 3 of the MEF Infinite Edge series, which is airing on March 10th. You don't want to miss it. Good luck to the team today. For more information on today's POC, you can go to mef.net/POC/132, or you can simply Google MEF POC 132. On the page, there's overview material, network diagrams, other supporting materials, blogs, and we will have this episode on demand on the MEF site very soon. So if you like what you saw today, pass it along to your friends and your colleagues and have them join us afterwards. So with that, I'd like to say thank you for the entire team that obviously put a lot of effort into making this POC reality. So great job, folks. I'd like to also thank the MEF production team and, of course, you for attending today. We'll see you at the next MEF 3.0 Proof of Concept Showcase. Thank you very much.